Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. One, we're going to be focusing on the Champions League and the end of the next few hours in the transfer window, and we'll see what Celtic's up to. And we'll talk about the latest transfers that have been incoming to the club. But first of all, like always, we do want to keep kind of a table, so to speak, of the Super Six and get into this weekend. Just to recap, we have Kevin first place, Jamie second, Ewan third, Phil fourth, Alistair fifth. Bethany coming in at sixth, Jamie seventh, William eighth, and then rounding off the top nine is Niall Thomas. So keep an eye on that, folks. Get involved in that in the weekend yet again. It's great crack. Stephen Coulthard, his prize has been basically ordered and it's on its way. Should hopefully be with him in the middle of this month, the 1st of September, Ross. The months are flying in. And then also, as well, Ross's wife is doing a fundraiser event for Macmillan Cancer. So, Ross, you take that away.
I will. I mean, my bad, first of all, because she's actually doing it tomorrow. So I don't know why the idea never came to me to obviously put it on this for anybody that felt they wanted to donate. And it might be a charity, it's close to people's heart. She's doing it, as Stephen said, for Macmillan Cancer. It's called the Rob Roy Mighty Hike. So it's basically walking a marathon, basically. She's doing it starting tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. But aye, that's pretty much it. It's for Macmillan Cancer. It's a tall order, but I've got every confidence that she'll do it. And if anybody wants to donate, we're not expecting anybody to donate, I must add. But if anybody feels like they want to or is in a position that they can, then by all means go ahead. And Stephen, you'll tell them whereabout they can get the link for that on this.
Will do, mate. Will do. As you said, Macmillan Cancer is a big, massive charity throughout the world, throughout Britain. As you said, close to many people's hearts who fought that horrible, horrible disease. And the Just Given link is in the description below. Not the banner here, but just below this video. If you click more, it's the first thing you'll see. And any donations are welcome. And we all wish good luck to your wife on that hike tomorrow. I'm sure she'll be knackered after, so you better have a hot bath and some relax and bath salts.
She's staying away overnight.
Oh, very nice, very nice. But in the comments already with Jen Shades, hail guys, finally catching alive. Brilliant to have you with us. Thomas Burns, no left back, no striker, no goalkeeper. A little disappointing. We're going to come on to all that shortly. Corvo, great cause. Big up to the folks doing the marathon. 100%. All their support's behind them. But I'll start with something that's come out today. I know we're going to come on to the transfers, but Celtic have been improving people's contracts, new contracts, 4-year deals for Maeda, for Kyogo, Cal McGregor, players like that. And it came out after probably a long, drawn-out process, what it seemed to be with Abada. He's finally signed a 4-year deal. He's committed his future to the club. I know Rodgers was really keen to get that done, and he was confident after a chat that he had with him earlier on in the season that his head was in the right space to sign that deal. And the last day of the window, although it's not a transfer, but it's a good bit of news to get Neil Abada down in a 4-year deal, probably on improved terms. As we always say, Ross, his numbers and his stats speak for themselves. He's up there with the best of the club, and all he really needs to do is just improve his overall game and not go missing. Technically, in the big games, we're expecting big things this year. A 4-year contract, a bit of positivity in around the club already before we even speak about transfers.
Listen, it's much like getting Kyogo and Maeda nailed down in longer term deals. It protects the club and their investment, and it allows us, if and when Abada does leave, that we can command a bigger fee. I'm pleased that he's signed on. He's a good player. You said there he needs to sort of improve his overall game. Absolutely can improve. There's no doubt about it. But again, as you touched on there, his numbers and stuff is really, really good. Especially for coming in off the wing. He's not a central striker as such. But I think his all-round game is pretty good, but he needs to improve on consistency. I think that's the problem. You said there. I can't remember the exact term you used there, but you sort of alluded to the fact that he sort of fades out of games. We'll probably get onto lineups for Sunday a bit later on, but the very fact that he does fade out of games, especially away from home, is probably why I wouldn't have him in my starting lineup on Sunday. But as I said, he's a good player, and football's a squad game. Abada will play a lot of games, but we've obviously brought in well, not brought in, but we've got a few options on the wide
Mm-hmm.
areas, more than a few options. So there'll be people vying for the places. He won't play every game, but as I said, it's a squad game, and Abada is a really good player to have as part of the squad.
Yeah, I know there's some people like Danny put up there in the comments if Abada wants to go, he can go. I don't think, to be fair, he wouldn't have committed his long-term future to the club if he was having second thoughts. He probably had to assess his options. I think every modern, I think every modern day player evaluates what they're doing. I mean, I think we all have to get used to the fact no one comes to Celtic now want to stay there for the rest of their career. So Rogers probably had a big swing and influence and get the Bada to agree terms and stay on for obviously maybe not for the whole 4 years, but to agree that contract. And like you said, all the consistency side of things probably has to improve. I know we came in last season probably all and off with Jada and stuff there, and this is his season in my opinion to nail down that position for himself and be that first choice right winger or left if River Rogers sees fit. And what you can tell already is, for me, he looks more bulked up. He looks like he wants to take his defender on. He's still getting to that point, in my opinion. But I think with a wee bit of coaching, a wee bit more development under a world class coach like Rogers, he'll get there, and it's something I'm excited for myself. But you were talking about the options. Added to that as well, Marco Tilio hasn't come back from injury yet, so we don't know what he's like. I know we've seen Mikey Johnson in the training pictures today, but he needs to be far away from that squad. I'm surprised he wasn't that sold, although he was injured, to be fair. But one of the players we'll have brought in to talk about first of all is Palma, who's been given the number 7 shirt. What a picture of him, by the way. Also, obviously, he was linked with our rivals, and he kind of confirmed in the conference that he just wanted to come to Celtic. But to be fair, Ross, you're not going to say he wanted to go to the rivals, like, do you know what I mean?
No.
We got him for apparently €4 million with a sell-on clause you have to do nowadays. And by all accounts, he's got the number 7 jersey. He looks quite flamboyant. He looks assured of himself. He scored from corner kicks. And I think outside the top 4 teams in the Greek league, he was the highest producing winger. And to be fair, good league, good tough environment. We've seen what was it Piauk did to Hearts last night. Absolutely pumped them at their ground. I watched the game, to be fair, but coming in from Greece, left hand side. I mean, we've been crying out for someone like that.
Absolutely, I think over the course of this summer, we've spoke about Teleo, we've spoke about Yang. Everybody asking who's the direct replacement for Jota. I think for all the world, I mean, I've only seen him on the reels on YouTube and stuff like that. I think he is the one out of those 3 that looks like the direct replacement for Jota. He's got all the sort of tricks. He's no like a Maeda or a Bada where they're more direct. They'll maybe sort of knock the ball by a man and like run past them rather than sort of skin them. I think Palma has got that. He's obviously he can take a free kick, dead ball situations. We've been crying out for that for a number of years. God, can't even remember, to be honest with you, the last time we had somebody.
Lee Griffiths, really? Lee Griffiths.
And even under as a Celtic player, I don't think he scored that many free kicks.
Nah,
for as good as he was at free kicks. I don't think he scored that many. But listen, that's always a good weapon to have. And I really like the look of the guy. It excites me. I know it's not the 6, 7 million, £8 million fee that some fans have been looking for, but neither was Jota when he first came in. He became that. We've obviously bought this guy outright, but after a season, he could become that, and then after a season again, he could possibly go for what Jota did. I don't want that to happen, not as soon as that, but he's got all the ingredients, let's say, to become the sort of next Jota that we're looking for. And I think the very fact that Celtic have given him the number 7, I don't know if he's asked for it, but the very fact that they've given them that tells me that they believe he's a bit of a special player.
Yeah, 100%. If anyone wonder what the background noise is, it's dinner being cooked, so you have to bear with it for now. I mean, you look at Palma, like you said. What I can see as well is the physical aspect of him. He looks quite tall. He looks really athletic. And on the left-hand side, I know we have Maeda, but question marks over his form at the start of the season, and rightly so, to be honest. I mean, the shot he hit against St Johnson and almost took out the entire Green Brigade. You're going, You're a professional
Wish it
footballer,
did.
mate. You should be doing. Well, that's another show. But I mean, back to Palma. I think Corvo said it. He hit a free kick. He scored from corner kicks, which is fantastic. And not only that, it's his skill set, like you said. It's like Yang. It's someone to eliminate a player. See if you're playing that low block and both wings, you need someone to go by a player. People with pace or people who rely on getting the one touch around won't work against that low block. So having different variations. And Danny again said if Tillio's any good, we'll be stacked on the wings. And you're looking at Ibrox here coming really quick. I mean, Sunday this week has flew in. Would you pitch Palma straight in?
I wouldn't be adverse to it, absolutely not. But I don't know. You look at it, and I think for me, as much as Maeda hasn't started the season well, I think he's ready made for Ibrox. He's proven in the past that he can do it there. I know that Rodgers isn't asking him to do as much the sort of running back the way as what he did under Ange. I think he needs to recognise that that's a strong part of Maeda's game and it helps protect Greg Taylor. Whether he'll use him like that on Sunday, I don't know. But for me, Maeda has to be in the team. I think if I'm right in thinking, Palma, I don't know if he can play. Can he play both sides?
Well, apparently he can play in the 10 as well. He can play both sides, yeah.
Well, listen, I think for me, just off of what you said there, we need somebody who's going to sort of beat a man and commit defenders. I think we need Maeda in there for the durability, and then at least one tricky player on the other side, whether it be Palma or Yang. And I think the reason I sort of say that is I never actually seen the St Johnstone game last weekend. I was away.
You're lucky.
I was actually
You're very lucky.
Aye, well, so I've heard. Aye, but going off the Kilmarnock game, we had Maeda playing and Abada, and Rangers are not going to play like Kilmarnock. We know that, but there was nothing really happening for Celtic in terms of when they two were playing. But then when Yang came on, and I know he's going to be leaving, but Haksabanovic, another guy who can sort of commit players, that's when we probably made most of our chances, if you like. So I think we need at least one player like that. For me, I've heard a lot of people saying that, Abada should play because...
You're dead set against this, aren't you?
Well, this is... people have saying Abada should play because he loves a goal against Rangers. Now, I'm not going to argue against that. He scored numerous goals against Rangers, but they've all been at Parkhead. He's performed really well at Parkhead, but at Ibrox, I don't recall Abada having one good game. He's no... put it this way, if Celtic start, not to give away my lineup, not that anybody cares, but if Celtic start with David Turnbull, and Leo Abada on Sunday, you can forget it.
Totally agree, but we'll come on to that. Corvo, Yang and Palma, Tillio and Palma, or even Abada and Palma on the wings will be saucy. Look at the options we'll have from last week. We're already talking about different combinations. So, I mean, I think that's good to have in the wide areas. Stephen Ray comes in. Remember I said Ray? That was actually embarrassing that time I said it. Ray says in the league that has commanded big transfer fees. If Palma was bought from Belgium or Netherlands, he'd probably be a £10 million player. That's probably the byproduct of people who underestimate leagues. We've seen that ourselves. Our players go for peanuts compared to what an EPL player goes for, an EPL championship player. Do you know what I mean? So 100%.
Even a player for the Eredivisie as well, Stephen.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we couldn't go by your man. The PSV had Noah Lang from Club Brugge. They bought him. He was €15 million. It sounds like we could do it, but in reality, we probably wouldn't. But he was different groovy against Rangers the other night. And Palma, to be fair, the Corvo, he's watched him a lot by all seems, and he said his chops and his skill set's really good. So I'm excited to see him. It's one of these signings that a bit unorthodox, and like you said, it's not the big name or the big transfer fee, but you have to get behind it, don't you? And you have to see what he can do. And he's been given a number 7 jersey. I know Nadir Shifty got it before. Come on.
He's not coming for Dundee United.
I know. So he has to be at least better than Nadir Shifty, and then we're on to something maybe. But another player who's come in, and that is, well, basically the saviour at centre back, and that's Nat Phillips from Liverpool. Now, to be fair to you, Ross, I mean, you were all, I would say, quietly okay about this signing. I took me a while to come round, to be honest. I was like, why was signing a guy for 6 months to do this in January. But then when you look into Nat Phillips and what he's done for Liverpool, he's played in Champions League games. He's come in out of the cold. He was a part of a team that beat United at Old Trafford as well. So there's pedigree there, and his defensive partner in that game, Reece Williams, plays for Aberdeen on loan. So again, coming up from Liverpool, you're coming from great stock. Ross, he's 6'3", by all accounts from what I've seen and I've also listened to. He loves a tackle. He's very hardy in terms of that. Gets stuck in. He loves a header. Good old fashioned centre back. And I look at Lagerbielke, and to have someone like him beside him, a part of title winning teams in Liverpool, albeit didn't play a lot, but he played some games and he was important in it. He's played in Champions League football. He's also been on loan to Bournemouth. Carter Vickers, funny enough, before he came to us, was on loan to Bournemouth and Spurs. He done well there. Having someone alongside him, like Lagerbielke, that experience going into Ibrox, because let's assume he's going to start. I think, to be fair, we can all see the writing in the clouds in that one. Do you think it's a good bit of business by Celtic?
First of all, writing in the clouds. Wow, that's a new one to me.
Because you know why I didn't say that? Because on one of the topics it has writing on the wall, and I don't want to say it twice. So I'll keep that. Writing on the clouds is what you're getting, and we're going to stick with it.
Writing in the clouds will do for me, kid. Listen, I've not seen the whole lot of his career, but I have seen him playing the odd game for Liverpool. He looked all right, but like yourself, I've listened to other people talking about him and know more about him. I've watched wee clips and stuff. I think it was a YouTube reel I watched, and the first couple of minutes were he just puts his body in the line. He wins almost every header that comes into the box, and I think we'll face a lot of that on Sunday. Listen, he's not just been bought for Sunday. He's been bought because we're really struggling in that department for injuries. We're looking an eye in the Champions League, and obviously for the entirety of the season. But that game is coming up on Sunday, so we talk about that. And listen, we've brought him in. If he doesn't start on Sunday, then there's something wrong. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life if he doesn't start. And I totally agree with you. Lagerbielke, obviously, he's a bit more slight, bit more. Not trying to do the Nat Phillips a disservice, but he's probably a bit more comfortable on the ball by all accounts. Only going off of what I've heard about Nat Phillips and what I've seen of Lagerbielke. But I think what you've said there, I agree with in terms that he could be a good sort of guy to be in there alongside him. Although he's not played a lot of football for a guy his age.
29 games
he's
in the last.
He's got a decent CV. He's been at, was it Freiburg? He was at in Germany or something. Stuttgart was it? Listen, he's experienced the Bundesliga. He's experienced the Premier League. Now he's going to experience the heat of Glasgow Derby, and I think he'll be well up for it. He looks a confident guy, but as I said, he puts his body on the line. He's a throwback, a no-nonsense defender. I love a no-nonsense defender. I was brought up watching guys like John Terry, Nemanja Vidic, guys like that. Class. Even boys like Jaap Stam, guys like that.
Bob Balde, Johan Melby.
Aye, all the guys. I like a defender like that. I've said it numerous times, obviously, when we're talking about Greg Taylor and stuff like that. I like a guy that does his primary job well, first and foremost. He seems like he's a guy that does that. We needed a defender. We all spoke about how we needed somebody with a bit of experience, and it was like, well, even if it is a young guy, you don't know. But I think he's sort of in the middle, and I like the look of him. He'll still be hungry at 26. He's got a bit of experience. I know he's had his injury issues down the years, but I mean, by all accounts, he's coming in here fit and ready to go, and I'm excited to see him. And so much so that I think I really do think he's going to settle in well here and really do well for Celtic. I don't know why, you just get that feeling. And then I look at it and go, right, so we've got him, I think it's a season-long loan. I look at it and go,
January.
Right,
January,
is it to January, is it? Right,
yeah.
Well, they might look at it again, because if he does well, they're left with a weird situation where they've shelled out in Lagerbielke, they've shelled out in Lavrocky. They're going to keep Carter Vickers. would it end up that he's going to be Carter Vickers' partner? But then at the same time, we might lose Carter Vickers next summer. So then he might become Navarroki's partner. I don't know. I'm looking a bit far into it there. But first and foremost, we've got a body in the door that we really, really needed in that position. And I'm excited to see him. And I think he'll do well on Sunday. I really do.
Well, I'll tell you what, it gives me a peace of mind that we didn't go for Robbie Edwards from Peterborough in League One to fill that void. We've actually expanded that net and picked out a player who's been involved in big games. And to add it to the fact that, Ross, you feel good about it and you think he's going to settle, I think this is brilliant by Corville. Remember watching that during the COVID season. He was immense. And even at Bournemouth, he's also a Champions League winner. He'll take that experience any day. So he's coming from similar environments in that aspect, in terms of high pressure. You need to win games, you need to be winning titles, you need to be winning leagues, you need to be winning domestic trophies. So coming from that kind of environment, it should be a seamless kind of period for him to settle in. This is the only issue, is Phillips mobile. I mean, if you looked at Lagerbilke last week, he got outpaced by Stevie May, and one of the big issues with Nat Phillips is mobility. Let's say, do you know what I mean? That might be a concern. What about you? Does that concern you getting into Ibrox with two centre halves that don't really have explosive speed?
Well, first of all, I don't know if Alistair's being smart by saying it's Phillips mobile.
No way! He just drew me in there, hasn't he? He drew me in. Alistair, don't claim that if you weren't meaning that. Don't claim that. But the question still stands, dude.
Aye, well, listen. Is he mobile? I can't say for sure, but I've watched the YouTube reels. He puts his body on the line. I heard somebody saying earlier on the day that he's more suited to maybe defending a bit deeper. So maybe that tells me that he isn't as mobile as you would like, especially because most of the time Celtic's defence will be quite high up. I don't want Celtic to play like this, but I think for the first 20 minutes, at least on Sunday, I think we'll have to weather a storm, and I think he'll come into his own. I'm looking for him to have a similar performance to the one Julian had when we beat Rangers 2-0 at Ibrox. Went into that game as underdogs. Edward scored and Johnny Hayes. Julian was immense that day. He was new to the team. I think he played a couple of games. I'm looking for him to have a similar performance to that. I don't know if he's mobile or not. I don't think he's a slouch, but I mean, I don't think he's bloody Linford Christie either.
If I'm putting it politely, I hope Stevie May can't outrun him as well. Then we'll have a problem.
Oh,
when I watched Lagerbilke go up against Stevie May, literally there was brown pebbles forming in my boxers. It was absolutely, it was a horrendous effort. Like, do you know what I mean? So, I mean, again, Nat Phillips, I think we can round off by saying, good bit of business by the club, actually proactive. Do you know what I mean? Looking at the situation, assessing it, and doing the right thing. I mean, when I heard the Robbie Edwards links, look, this is no disrespect. We had a debate about this, but let's be fair. A 20-year-old coming from League One, getting free in an Ibrox as a centre half. I know Matt O'Reilly, but that's a different case in my opinion. I don't think that would have ended well. I really don't think that would end it well. But I think Nat Phillips has the experience to come in and be chucked into a high-pressure game straight away. And like Jed Thomas said in the comments, you don't get a game for Liverpool on their clap if you're shit. And I think that pretty much sums that up, do you know what I mean? And Alistair Jack, owed you there, LOL. So you meant it. You got me. Corvo, Nat can also ping a ball. His long passes is sweet. Palmer and Yang will love him feeding them long passes. Well, let's be fair, we've had a lot of punts upfield that have reached nowhere, so hopefully Nat Phillips and Lagerbilke can exploit the fullbacks of Rangers on Sunday. But another rumour, not so much rumour, Ross, but it looks like it's confirmed. I don't know why they're holding off on it, but it is Bernardo from Benfica. There's a lot of hysteria, a lot of potential about this kid apparently over at Benfica. He's played, I think, 30 professional games for them, also played in their B team, was on loan to the Portuguese team maybe a year and a half ago, played 13 games, maybe it was a January loan for 6 months, and he has a big buyout fee of, I think, what was it, 900 million or 90 million or something crazy like that, but 90 million. But I think what these clubs do is they put these buyout fees on them just in case a young player hits, like a Yao Felix, for example. you get that fee. Well, you don't get the big astronomical amount, but you get like a £90 million, £100 million into the bank. So, I mean, Barcelona's done it with their young players. Every, I think, European club do it to a certain degree, with it overdo the buyout fees to make this player look like he's going to be amazing. Sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes it does. So I wouldn't look too much into that, to be fair. But what I can tell from him is he can play in the 8. I think he's a box-to-box type midfielder. He's been capped for the under-21 team. He was also a teammate of Jada's when he played in the Benfica B team. So he knows about us. We know about him. And it seems to be a loan to buy. And it's worked well for us before in the likes of Carter Vickers and Yada, hasn't it?
Aye. Listen, I don't know much about the guy, to be perfectly honest with you. I look at it and I'm like, right, okay, he's coming in. If you're saying he's a number 8, box to box. Oh, is that the dogs going after me?
Good going.
Aye, a number 8 box to box midfielder. Do we need that? Possibly. Well, obviously, we've got Hatate now who can do that job. He's out injured. You look at home, he's looked alright if he's come in. Can he go into the heat of the battle at Ibrox? It remains to be seen. Turnbull, I don't think we can put him in there on Sunday. Who does it leave you with? For me, I don't know why Awata isn't getting a look in. He hasn't made one start this season.
Baffling.
It's baffling. It really is baffling. But I don't see him doing it. I would do it. I would put Awata in there. But I look at this Bernardo one and I think it's another body in there. He could listen, if he's quality, if he's like coming in and he can bring to his position the level of quality that Jota, for instance, brought to his position, then I'm all for it. Absolutely. Because if he can bring the level of quality Jota did to his position, it's going to be a bit of a game changer in the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I was looking, if we were bringing a midfielder in, I was looking for like a lot of Celtic fans, a tall, strong, physical guy that just can help win that midfield battle, because we do look a bit, for wanting a better word, powder puff. Weak powder puff in there. But at the same time, you say that and it really baffles me, because we're using McGregor. Okay, we're missing Hatate, but we're essentially using a similar midfield to what we had last season, and it's just not working the now. And listen, it looks to me, and I've heard other Celtic fans saying it, that it looks to me like McGregor's got the shackles on. He's playing that similar role for picking up the ball when Joe Hart isn't pumping it right enough, but he's picking up the ball and he's getting it in the half turn, and then he's starting attacks, but then he's sitting back. He's not getting involved further up the park, and I think that needs to change. Absolutely, because it's taking away from Cal McGregor's game. That, coupled with the fact that for me, Brendan Rodgers is allowing Joe Hart to go long. I don't know why he's allowing that, because it is no benefit to us whatsoever, because we've got whoever the three are up there, they're all small. So it's a waste of a ball. It doesn't make sense to me. That needs to change. But I mean, I've went off on a tangent there. Back to Bernardo.
I like it.
Back to Bernardo. As I said, if he's going to bring that level of quality Jota did, he goes straight into the team on Sunday for me. But again, without having seen him, without knowing much about him, I can't really say much more than that on him.
I know we were linked last year for him, but it didn't quite come off. So obviously, can you say it's a legacy signing from the Postecoglou? You probably can. I think it's probably one of the players that we're probably looking at his situation. I know, as I said, he was unknown to that Portuguese club. Yeah, Bernardo last season, he was linked. I remember seeing his name a few times, and a few people actually said it as well. But again, he looks exciting, and like if Benfica produce superstars, let's be fair here. Do you know what I mean? Jota was another prime example of that for us anyway at our level, and Bernardo could be that. But like you said, right, and by the way, just to let everyone know, while we're on this podcast live at the minute, we're obviously going to be looking at the transfer window. So if anything changes, put it in the comments. We'll be looking as well. But I do want to come back to what you said. Now, so far we've confirmed a left winger in Palma, a centre half in Nat Phillips, and a centre midfielder, essentially a box-to-box midfielder in Bernardo. Although the confirmation that for some reason is being delayed. But where do you stand on dogs going crazy again? You must hear me. But where do you stand on people saying left back, striker, goalkeeper, physical midfielder? I think for me personally, the midfield department in terms of centre midfielders, we're stacked there. Like you said, we're missing that tall physical player who can get stuck in about it. And if we're basing the level of the likes of Sangari and Veerman, because it's the only thing I've seen that's in the Champions League at the minute, the beat Rangers quite comfortably. They were physical, also box to box, but playing as 2-6s really protected their centre halves. They were playing in a back three. They've done a great job. That scares me because we don't have that player. And the prospect of going to the Champions League, which we're going to come on to, the group stage, we don't have that physicality in midfield, which most big top clubs do. You look at the left back situation, and again, I'll go back to it. When we played Wolves, Nelson Semedo rinsed Greg Taylor. We played Aberdeen, Morris rinsed Greg Taylor. Albeit Greg Taylor had a fantastic game, I say, against St Johnstone. It was his best game of the season. So there is positions for me that there's deficiency in Ross in terms of we've not covered just yet as we stand at 8:30. Where do you stand on this at the minute?
Listen, left back, goalkeeper, I concede. They should be improved on, possibly. But I look at it as well. I'll start with Greg Taylor. I look at it, right, you've said Nelson, you keep going back to that. Nelson Semedo ripped him apart in a friendly.
And Morris, right? Aberdeen.
Right, it did happen. But what I will say is, I don't think he's getting the same protection for Maeda. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think he's caught between two styles, and now I don't think he really knows what he's supposed to be doing. Brendan Rodgers doesn't really know how he wants to use his fullbacks because he doesn't want to change too much. But I don't think he's too keen on playing the inverted fullback long term. But I think at the moment he's going to have to because it suits Greg Taylor. I said a number of times last season that we were obviously playing the inverted fullbacks, but Alistair Johnson came in and he wasn't used to playing that. He didn't pick up the positions that Greg Taylor did. He was sort of caught between playing a sort of more traditional fullback and playing the inverted fullback. But such as his quality, he was getting away with it. Whereas Greg Taylor isn't as good as Alistair Johnson. I would never make that case. But Greg Taylor played in the Champions League last season. And again, Maeda did protect him a lot and it helped a lot. But also, I don't recall at any point Greg Taylor getting absolutely turned inside out, caught out of position. But
totally I think this is what I'm saying. So obviously the system's changed and it's not suiting him at the minute. I get what you're saying. For the foreseeable, stick to the inverted fullbacks. But if Rodgers doesn't see it that way, in my opinion, I don't see why he would do it for the short term. Because in that short term, he could train the players to play the system he wants. So why compromise that kind of learning process just because it's not working out? Why could he not sign a left back that can deal with that? And like you said, I mean, if you look at the positions of McGregor, O'Reilly, Turnbull in the midfield, Turnbull and O'Reilly especially, they're much higher up. Usually under Postecoglou would have been going out to the sides, right hand, left hand, but they're playing as 2 10s and they're staying really central and they're not covering the midfield either. Maeda's staying up more. I don't know if that's a coaching thing by Rodgers. Maybe it is. We've seen with Sinclair as well, that kind of aspect of the game. But I'm not trying to dig out Greg Taylor, but I'm pointing out what we can see happening in a system. And left back in the comment section is people saying we should have signed a left back who could deal with that situation.
Right, well, I totally take that point on board. I'm not arguing against that for a second, but listen, Rodgers has just came in, right? I'm looking at Celtic fans have been saying for weeks now, Ange Postecoglou came in, got the business done early, always got it done early. But everybody knows, in that first window, he signed 3 players on the last day. Now, all the players worked. It was Giakoumakis, Carter Vickers, and the other one escapes me right now. But they all worked.
Jota.
Was it Jota? right?
I
Well,
think it was.
he signed the players on the last day, right? So that's not getting your business done early. That's coming in as a new manager. And he's doing the same now. He's still signing players for Spurs on the last day. This is the guy that gets business done early because he's in at a new club and it's his first window. He's came in and he's assessed the squad and he's leaving it late, but he is bringing players in late. That'll change in the windows going forward for me. I don't think it's a Peter Lawwell thing. I don't think it's a Brendan Rodgers thing. I don't think it's a board thing. I think it's a change of manager, and it takes a wee bit of sort of that change takes time, if you like.
Yeah.
And I'm not defending the club at all, right? People have got their reservations, and they wanted a goalkeeper, they wanted a left back, they wanted a big centre midfielder, they wanted a striker. I want all of that, but sometimes you can't get all of that in the one window. I've said it numerous times. Brendan Rodgers came in, assessed the squad. You start running out of time in the window. Now he's brought in.
Well, Ross, can I say, I don't want to cut you off because I don't want to have a wee debate. You said they assessed the squad, right? We from the outside in, as a normal football fan, can see that Greg Taylor's not adapting to what he's been asked to do, right? You mentioned there that people wanted a goalkeeper, a left back, tall physical midfielder, and a striker, backup striker. We all know that. So what I'm thinking here, prioritise positions. For me, left back should have been high on that list. Bernardo, by all accounts, coming in from Benfica, could be a superstar, but he wasn't a profile that we need in there. So what I'm saying is, we from the outside can see Greg Taylor not adapting. Why can Rodgers not? If you're saying he's assessing the squad and he's looking at that going, nah, I could probably change there. Why is he not looking at the Greg Taylor position and being like,
I think he has alluded to the fact a couple of times that he would like a left back, but maybe the left back that he wants hasn't become available in this window, or one that obviously you could get a left back that he wants, but or you maybe wouldn't be able to get the left back he absolutely wants. I'm talking like top tier left backs. Obviously that's not going to happen, but somebody within our parameters and he thinks is going to be the man to take us forward. Maybe he's not available. We have to go with Greg Taylor now. We have to go with Bernabei. I'm not defending the club, but I'm thinking outside the box, if you like, and saying it's not just as simple as, right, we need a left back, I'll go and get one. He maybe get one in January. It might be too late for the Champions League this time, and that's shite. But it's not always the club's fault. He might have to wait until next summer. I think that he had his sights set on Kieran Tierney. I really do, and it's not happened for whatever reason. Obviously, it'll be financial. So you look at it and go, right, okay, they've maybe put all their eggs in that one basket, hoping they can get him, knowing that if they don't, we'll probably be struggling to get somebody else. But at the same time, for me, Greg Taylor is a decent left back. He's shown that for 2 years that he can be a good left back for Celtic. I understand what you're saying. If Rodgers doesn't want to play the inverted full back, then he has to coach Greg Taylor the now to play. I'm not arguing that we need one the now or not. I'm saying he's maybe not available. That's my point. I'm not saying we don't.
Would you take Ryan Bertrand? Obviously, that's the rumour that we're interested in him. He's 34 years old.
No,
Champions League winner.
No, not at 34. Listen, he's had a decent career. He was at Chelsea. He won a Champions League. He played in the Champions League final. Wasn't he a regular at Chelsea when he played in that final?
Yeah.
He was playing in it out of necessity because whoever was the left back at the time, I can't remember. Well, it'd been Ashley Cole probably. I don't know. Was it? Possibly.
Could have been.
I don't recall, but he wasn't a regular in that Chelsea team when he played in that final. 34-year-old. I know you can play a bit longer now, but I know for me, I would rather go with Greg Taylor as bring in Ryan Bertrand at 34. I think Greg Taylor is a decent left back.
I agree.
I think that Rodgers, I know he listen, it's no a massive change in style, but there is differences. And I think at the minute, because Rodgers hasn't, I think Rodgers was in the market for a left back. I really do. for whatever reason, it doesn't look like we're going to get one. So I think he has to play the now to Greg Taylor's strengths. I think at the same time, you look at Joe Hart, yes, we could get a goalkeeper. I've defended Hart for a long, long time, and I said on a recent podcast after having seen the first few games that I feel like Rodgers is allowing him to go long, whereas Ange knew he wasn't good with the ball at his feet, but made him. We're not going long. We don't do that. We play it out for the back. We play it short. And for me, I would rather Rodgers made him do that, because if you're playing it short, right, okay, over the course of a season, right, over the course of the 2 seasons under Ange, I think probably Joe Hart playing short balls out for the back cost us 2 goals. One memorable one was obviously in Leipzig. There has been a couple of wee hairy moments where it's like, say, Ibrox that put one back in Rangers' sails and they get back into the game off the back of his wayward pass. But I would rather Rodgers made him go short, because it suits us more. Because, okay, if he's going short, right, maybe 9 times out of 10 we'll lose a goal, right? Or 99 times, 1 out of 100 will lose a goal, right? Off the back of Hearts not that good with the ball at his feet. Whereas if we go long, for me, you're going long, you're bypassing our midfield, who is our creative players, and you're going up the park. We've got, as I said earlier on, whoever we play in that front three are small, so it's a wasted ball. And as I said, 1 out of 100 will lose a goal going short, but 99 times out of 100, the ball will just come straight back to us if he goes long. So for me, if Rodgers if Rodgers keeps letting him go long, for me, we need a new keeper, because, and I know that's not going to happen, but if you're going to allow somebody to go long because you don't trust them to play the way you want to play, then we need a new keeper. But we're not going to get a new keeper now, so don't allow him to go long. Make him go short. Drill it into him. And I know I've said play to Greg Taylor's strengths, and that's not playing to Hart's strengths, but overall for the team, in that point, for the point I've made there, I think you need to make Hart go short. But I'm not here to argue that we don't need to strengthen their positions. But what I'm saying is the players who we want to be better than Joe Hart, to be better than Greg Taylor, might not be available now. You can bet your boots Brendan Rodgers and the scouting team will be out looking for replacements for these guys. I fully believe that. And in time, it'll happen. Rodgers has said he's here for 3 years. Listen, we can take it with a pinch of salt. We can believe it. Whatever you want to do, that's anybody's prerogative. But you have to take the guy for face value and say he's got to be here for 3 years. He's built. He's going to. Rodgers is wanting to bring in players who will suit his style. It's going to take time to do that, in much the same way as it took Ange time to do it. But Ange won while he was doing it. Brendan Rodgers isn't playing winning football right now, but I believe he's an elite manager, and he will win when he's doing it. But he has a different style for Ange. It's not drastically different, but players make styles, and maybe he's not got all the players that he wants for his style. But right now he has to work with the players he's got. And I fully believe he'll get it right this season with the players he's got. And he'll have January to bring more players in, and I fully believe they will do that. But again, I'll reiterate, I don't want anybody to think that I don't think we need another striker. I don't think we need a goalkeeper. I don't think we need a left back. I think we do. But I'm not willing to sit here and just absolutely bash the club. I think they've been in the market for a left back. I think they've been possibly looking at a goalkeeper. And I know people will say they should have got Livakovic. Livakovic maybe didn't want to come and play in Scotland. Fenerbahce can probably, I'm sure it was Fenerbahce he went to, they can probably offer him more money. There's loads of variables as why Celtic maybe went for that guy and didn't get him. But I'm confident that Celtic will come good. Whether it be Sunday, I don't know. But Celtic and Brendan Rodgers will get this right. but it doesn't happen in one window. There'll be slight changes here and there, and we will replace the guys that need replaced. If we can see it, you can bet your boots Brendan Rodgers can see it.
Yeah, I think with the goalkeeping position, the reason probably that's went quiet in terms of strengthening it is because of the crisis we had at centre back. We needed to prioritise that position and get somebody else in. Not that the fact that Celtic couldn't probably do both. We can. We've got the financial gain and muscle and the cash flow to do so. I mean, you mentioned Livakovic. He actually went for less than what we reported to be bidding for him. I think it was like €7 million he went to Fenerbahce for. I think this morning Manchester United signed the Olympiacos goalkeeper for £4.2 million. So there's goalkeepers out there that we should be looking at. Obviously, they're just examples, but I'm saying there's people out there. Joe Hart, I think we all know my feelings of Joe Hart. I think he should be number 2 at best at the minute. And what you said nailed it for me. It's if Rodgers is compromising his style of play to suit Joe Hart, that's never going to work. We're lumping the ball up, and the Kyogo, the Abada, the Yang, they're never, ever going to win flick-ons or control the ball up against physical centre halves, especially in Scottish football. That's what Aberdeen, that's what Kilmarnock, that's what St Mirren thrive on. Is long ball football and getting it up there to interrupt our flow. And if we're playing into the hands of the opposition doing that, we're not going to make any inroads, especially if we want to get McGregor involved, we want to get O'Reilly involved in the play. If you're missing them out, your creative influence is totally gone in the game. And like you said, the ball's coming straight back, lump back up the pitch, and then you're fighting for the second ball. So it doesn't make sense if Rodgers is doing that with Joe Hart just because he's not good with his feet. You look at Greg Taylor. Again, I think you're right. Kieran Tierney, I think, was banked. He was a banker in Rodgers' head, and it didn't happen. And I know the Ryan Bertrand stuff has come out recently. It does. That's not one for me. 34 years old, me and age profile, and at Celtic, you know yourself. Anyone above 29, I'm going no.
So 29 is old to you.
Ryan Bertrand isn't one for me, albeit he played in the Champions League final. The major position that disappoints me, and I'll get your opinion on this as well, is the physicality of midfield. Because, like you said, I think Rodgers played the 4-2-3-1 at the first time around, and it worked really well because you had McGregor and Brown. Brown done the dirty work, McGregor done the pass, Stuart Armstrong took it on, was the creative influence, or Ryan Christie, or whoever it might have been at that time. Then you had the free base in front, so you had Roddick, you had Sinclair, you had Forrest, and then Edward, DeBelly, Griffiths. So it worked well, and I think for me, Cal McGregor needs someone beside him in this system. Like you pointed out, by the way, with Joe Hart, to make him feel more comfortable and that assurance that he has someone beside him to do the donkey work, so to speak, to get stuck in, to do the rough and tumble, break up the play. I mean, we'll have McCarthy. He's gone. Kwan, someone mentioned Kwan in the comments. He looked like an amateur footballer in his second appearance. I don't know what's going to happen with him. Home, he's not that guy. So get into the Champions League, Ross, and go back to what Roger said. He wants physicality and power in the team. Don't think he's addressed that.
No, well, I've said it when we were talking about Bernardo. I don't think he's addressed that. I think, though, if you're looking at somebody who's got physicality and power, then look no further than Iwata. I'm not saying he's the answer.
Yeah, no, that's forward. A great point. That's a great point, yeah.
I'm not saying he's the answer going forward.
What you said about Iwata.
All right, I wasn't sure if you thought about the comment or me. He has got physicality. For me, he's the man that should play at Ibrox. But just when we're talking there, just sort of thinking of like the midfield and Cal McGregor, obviously, I like McGregor further up the park. As much as he's in that 6 role, he's been immense for Ange. I think he is really effective further up the park. Everybody wants him getting involved further up the park. This might be totally way off left field, but it just came into my head there when we were sitting talking. Obviously, McGregor was out for a portion of last season, and Matt O'Reilly came in and he played the McGregor role. What about? Listen, it's not going to happen. People say Cal McGregor could possibly even be dropped. I wouldn't do that. I think it's coupled with form and the way we're playing now. He isn't getting involved in the game as much. I don't think you can drop your captain, but put Matt O'Reilly in that sort of 6 role and push McGregor a bit further up.
I think for me, Ross, you're having the same issue on that front because what's happening in this system, the inverted fullbacks aren't there to offer that passing option or the protection. So O'Reilly's going to be isolated the way McGregor was. And the only answer, in my opinion, you either go to three at the back, you pack the midfield with five, and then you do the two up top. And then you can maybe do that system where you drop O'Reilly in beside McGregor. But if you do that with O'Reilly, not only does O'Reilly not have the pace McGregor does, I don't think he has the positional awareness that McGregor does, and that's something we've seen on the Rams Postecoglou. McGregor done really well. He could take the ball in a tight space. He swivels all the time. He's looking with John Collins scanning. Do you know what I mean? That famous saying. But it's the same issue. I think you need the two in there. And I think, like you said, regardless of what we think about Rangers getting pumped 5-1 of PSV, albeit it was excellent, and the goal's an own goal, I will watch forever when I'm feeling down. But I look at it and go, we need the two in there. PSV done it. I mean, come on.
Listen, I agree with you. I agree with you fully. I was just something that came into my head. I'm not saying I would do it, but it was just an idea. But for me, I was going to go into what my midfield would probably be, but I don't know if you want me to leave it until later in the pod.
Leave it for now, and we'll come on to it. I was wanting to get your opinion on something else, and I've just seen this one on Twitter to say it as well. Michael Ross, by the way, play what as a 6, 100% beside McGregor. I think that would be probably the best option. Yep. But there is breaking news. I don't know if you can call it breaking news. Kasper Schmeichel, his contract's been terminated at Nice in France. Would you take him as the goalkeeper?
Fucking right, I would die.
Well, tonight he's officially free. He's officially a free transfer. I think he's 34 years old. I think. So would you?
I would take Kasper Schmeichel in a fucking heartbeat. Absolutely. He's top drawer.
He is top drawer. I think that'll be a cracking signing, like, wouldn't it? To be honest.
Where does it leave you? What do you mean? You would need to get Siegrist out the door, at least, because I was going to say you would have to keep Hart. You wouldn't keep Hart because I don't think Hart. If you told Hart Schmeichel's coming in, he's 36, is he?
Yeah.
I don't know. If Schmeichel was coming in, listen, it's not going to happen. But if Schmeichel was coming in and you told Hart he was going to be the number one, Hart would go out. Who is it? Who's his boyhood club? Is it Rotherham or something?
Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury. He always said he wanted to finish his career there. So I think he would probably. But at this late stage, I don't see all that happening. So I think the keeper we've got, Hart, will be the keeper we have. I'm a Hart fanboy. But
I think from what we can tell at the moment, apart from Bernardo coming in, we will come back to it, obviously. I think it's all going to be quiet on the transfer front at Celtic Park. I think Michael Nicholson and Brendan Rodgers, even though he probably didn't want to, have closed the door and locked the offices up until the weekend when we're taking on Rangers and stuff. But, I mean, let's look at some outgoings. And we knew this podcast might be... Go ahead, sorry.
See, before you go into that, Stephen, I just want to ask you, obviously we've touched on a couple of the goalkeeper, the left back, and the midfielder. What would you be, like if we had to get one more player in this window, out with Bernardo, what position would you want them to be filling?
Left back.
Right.
I would take a carbon copy of Alistair Johnson at left back. That physical presence. I said this last week. Just someone who is physical, can get up and down the pitch, can cross a ball in, can defend. And again, it sounds like I'm really digging Greg Taylor out, but I'm not. It's what I can see in the system that Rodgers is deploying. Even against Ross County, your man Brown, I think it was for them, done him in on the right hand side, and they got a goal from that. He should have been tighter to his man. Burnaby is guilty of that too, and I champion Burnaby. But again, I'm starting to lose faith in my own potential in Burnaby, but I'll hold out for now. But if I had a choice, it'd be left back. I think that's vital. In European football, we need that type of bump. Do you know what I mean? That type of thing. Jed Thomas come in. I don't know what I said here, but I remember that, Stephen. What was it again? My mind's gone blank. But what about you, Ross? Where would you pick one position?
Well, listen, I fully take on board the goalkeeper and the left back situation. At this late stage, I think when you're talking about realistically, I think we've got a good goalkeeper, we've got a good left back, of course we can improve on it, but I think we need a third striker. Now, I think in time we will improve on the other positions that we've spoke about. I don't think we can at this late stage. I'd be surprised, but I think we need another striker. I think we were looking at that. What's this?
Bernardo's announced.
Oh, he's announced.
Yeah.
Oh, is there Stephen Ray saying it?
Season long loan with option to buy. So option to buy is included in that.
Right.
But
I wonder
back to what you were saying.
I was just saying, I think in time, we've got a good goalkeeper, we've got a good left back at the moment. I think in time, we will improve on them, or hopefully improve on them, but we will sign players to try and improve on them. But I think right now, at this late stage, I think we need a third striker. I think by all accounts, O is available this weekend, which is a really big boost.
Yeah,
it's a really big boost. But again, if one of them get injured, we're sort of up shit's creek. Especially if it's Kyogo. So I would like to see another striker coming in. I know they have tried in this, or sort of these last couple of days. Whether it happens, highly unlikely, but that's what I would like to see.
100%. Michael Ross, we do not have a good left back. I think Scotty Boy wanted a striker and left back. They're the two primarily positions that everyone's agreeing we need kind of strengthened. And like you said, O's back, but again, one more injury down to them strikers. You're down to one. And then if the bad thing happens, they all get injured again. Touch wood, that doesn't happen. But
I'm not speaking.
Centre back. Aye, well, yeah, you keep quiet on that one. But I mean, we'll come on to some outgoings. Michael Ross, Thomas Burns come in. Soro, Ayeti, and Haksabanovic all seem to be out the door. Good news. I totally agree. And if we bring our minds back to last week, Ross, the comments on Instagram, to be fair, summed up Haksabanovic in a Celtic shirt. To be fair, if I'm not, the presence isn't valued, I shouldn't be here. Something along them lines. Ismaila Soro was once a bright spark. I remember we said this on the podcast. He was a bright spark. And then Alban Ayeti, £5 million from West Ham, down the drains. We're accepting an offer in the region of 500k from a Turkish club. The loss we made in him, the loss we made in Barkas. But the other good news is they're going to be out the club.
Aye, listen, touching Soro first. We did think he was a bright spark when he came into the team in the 10 season. I think we've said a million times, him and Turnbull, they came in and they looked brilliant. But we were so bad at the time that I think if me and you had come in, we'd have shored up that midfield and looked good. But
match fit.
he's done all right for a wee spell, but he's no. When Ange came in, you knew he wasn't going to be the sort of quality, the level of player that Ange needed to play his style. He couldn't play in a Rodgers team. He's not good enough for Celtic, pretty much. And that's no. He's probably a decent guy. He just wasn't good enough for Celtic. Who was the other? Ayeti. The less said about him, the better. When he first came in at Celtic,
who was better in a Celtic shirt, Nadir Shifty or Alban Ayeti?
Probably Shifty. Aye, probably Shifty.
Wow.
But I compared Ayeti when he first came in to Gary Hooper. Oh, what the hell I was on there? Like, he was so bad. And listen, West Ham couldn't get rid of him quick enough, and they got £5 million from him. What a bit of business. I think, where did we get 500 grand?
500 grand.
Wow.
I think, did Moyes not say, I don't know who he is, or was that Haksabanovic? I can't remember. Moyes said that about one of our signings.
I think it was him, aye. I think it was Ayeti, aye. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, that should have sounded alarm bells right away. But we were all up for the 10 season. We'd spent £20 million, £5 million, a new striker. Everyone was looking up. The club had dipped into their not so deep pockets. It was brilliant, and it went to shit, absolute shit. But you needed the guys out. You needed them off the wage bill. I don't think they were a bad influence in the dressing room, but you just needed them off the wage bill. You take the hit in Ayeti. Sometimes it happens. We had to take the hit in Barkas as well. It's just you can't get them all right. You just can't.
No.
Haksabanovic, there's so much potential in that guy. There is a player in there. Some manager somewhere will bring it out in him. It wasn't at Celtic, it wasn't Ange, it's not going to be Brendan Rodgers. His comments on Instagram, bit disappointing. Similar to how I felt about Holmes won after the Aberdeen game. I didn't like that.
Listen, be humble or something, wasn't it?
Aye,
something
like that. Yeah. Sit down or something. It was some sort of lyric for a song. But yeah. I didn't like that. I wasn't a fan of it. But listen, I'm 40 in 2 weeks' time. There's a new wave of football player coming up, as Brendan Rodgers touched on the day. I'm not into it. I wasn't into the Giakoumakis egg timer either. It's not for me.
Oh, I remember that.
If you get something to say it. Like, I wouldn't, if I was working for a company, I wouldn't go out and like put an egg timer. Not that it would, but you know what I'm saying. My work wouldn't care. Know what I mean? No, Ross is going to get another painting job. But you get my sentiments. I'm not a fan of it. Listen, Ross McCall made a really valid point the other night in saying that obviously he was young and the way his social media works and stuff like that, and I totally took that on board. I thought it was a really valid point, obviously, and it was a good point to make for somebody who's in the public eye, if you like, where we don't experience that. So it was a good sort of view for that side of it. But I mean, Brendan Rodgers said today that he's not on social media, he didn't sort of see it, and then in the next breath he was like, I didn't like it, kind of hanging. Listen, Haksabanovic is a good football player. He absolutely is. He scored some nice goals for Celtic, but for whatever reason, it's just not worked out. And I know I've said that Palma was the direct replacement for Jota. I feel like it probably is on paper. If you're getting Haksabanovic out the door and you're bringing in Luis Palma, it's all right, isn't it?
I think it's all right. I mean, you made a good point. I always go back to the Rodgers clip when he was first took over the Liverpool job, and when you knew he didn't stand for no shit. I think it was Raheem Sterling, maybe 16, 17, and he stopped the train and he was like, if you disrespect me, you're going on that plane home. And I think if you looked at Haksabanovic in that post, I think that's probably along the lines of what he would have said to him at that point in time, doing that online. And as well, teammates are going to see that. So, I mean, how can you go in the next day to the workplace after saying stuff? I had visions of you just sitting in your van putting up a wee egg timer. That's why I was laughing so much.
I would go with a TikTok.
But, I mean, you looked at Haksabanovic, yeah, unbelievable potential. West Ham signed him as a young boy. Didn't find his way, went back to Swedish football, done quite well with the team he was with. Went to Rubin Kazan, we got Starfelt from, done well in the Russian league, but unfortunately it didn't work out well for us. But I do agree, I think there'll be a manager out there who will get the best out of him, and you'll see that come to fruition. He definitely has flashes, and Ismail Assaro picked up more yellow cards than he did kick footballs. Do you know what I mean? So that's probably how you can sum him up. Albanieri, I think Jed Thomas is bang on. We paid $5 million for him, but wouldn't pay $5 million for Ivan Toney. Well, you missed out on a player on that front, but these guys need to go. You need to get rid of the likes of James McCarthy. You're going to take a hit in wages, but you need to do it. Albanieri, Ismail Assaro, Sead Haksabanovic. See you later, guys. I don't think it's going to be a big issue that they've left the club. But as was said before, we're going to keep an eye on the market. Anyone got any other news, fire it in. We'll bring it up. I mean, you guys are helping us in this aspect. If there's any breaking Celtic news, maybe Peter Lawwell's dropped the tenner and he's trying to find it before it blows away. You don't know, something might come out. But
Roberto Carlos is out of retirement.
Roberto Carlos and Kasper Schmeichel on the final day.
He's at the fort now.
Well, who's he with? He's with Chris Wilder. That's who he's with. And he's having a pint. And he's with Chris Wilder. But we'll come on to the Champions League, Ross. And to be fair, the group, I got home yesterday from work about 5:15, had it on my phone, and I felt like an age before we seeing the Celtic team drawn out. But I do want to bring up the groups. I actually have them all here.
Oh, wow.
Some tasty groups in it. I mean, you look at Group A, Bayern Munich, Manchester United, Harry Kane's come back to England, Copenhagen, Galatasaray. Group B, Sevilla, Arsenal, Eindhoven, Lens, and then you have us, Group E. I'm going to read them all. I might as well. Group E is Feyenoord, Atletico Madrid, Lazio, and Glasgow Celtic. Group F. Now this is a mad group. Imagine we were in this group. Paris Saint-Germain, Borussia Dortmund, AC Milan, and Newcastle. What a welcome to the Champions League for them. Group. I can't even see that letter. But Napoli, Real Madrid, Braga, Union Berlin. Group D, Benfica, Inter Milan, Salzburg, Real Sociedad, where Kieran Tierney's ended up. Group G, Manchester City, RB Leipzig. I think that's Red Star Belgrade, isn't it? Young Boys.
Aye.
And then Group H is Barcelona, Porto, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Royal Antwerp. See, to be honest, Group H, that's where I probably thought we would end up. We've played all them things about 90 times. But going to our group, Feyenoord, Atletico Madrid, Lazio, and Celtic. First of all, Ross, when that was pulled out of the hat, how did you feel?
Well, out of pot one, the team I wanted was Feyenoord, so I was pleased with that. Lazio, obviously we've got history with them, recent history. We beat them home and away. I think this Lazio team are probably a bit better than the one we faced previously. Whether we are is another discussion.
Oh, yes.
Which we might get into at a later date.
We'll get it. No, we'll get into it tonight because I want to bring it. You made a good point. You made a good point today. I think we should talk about that.
Aye. I don't know if we are or not. Well, I do, we aren't. But what's the other team again?
It's Feyenoord, Atletico Madrid, and Lazio.
Atletico, aye, God's sake, how can I forget them? They're the big one. Listen, there's no heavyweights in the group. And what I mean by that, obviously, is Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona. I don't look at that group and go, right, we could get beat 6-0 in that game quite easily. I don't see that happening to us this time. Listen, it didn't happen. We lost 5-1 to Real Madrid. But I really don't see us. I think we'll be competitive in the games. I'm not saying we'll win, but I look at it and I think, I look at Lazio and I think, okay, I would like to take 3 points at home off of them. Same with Feyenoord. Atletico Madrid might be a taller order, and they used to be. By the way, I'm happy with it. Absolutely happy with it. Atletico Madrid, they've been that sort of team. They're really defensive, stalwarts, hard to break down. But by all accounts, they're playing a bit more expansive under the same manager, which I'm surprised at. But I don't expect them to be a defensive team against Celtic anyway, no matter what style they play. I just think because they're a better team than Celtic, I don't think that can be argued. If we can take a point out of the 2 games off of them, that would be unbelievable. I think if we got 7 points out of that group, I think that would be a really good achievement. I think it wouldn't be far off getting us 3rd place, but 7 points is a tall order because everybody knows, no imparting wisdom, there's no easy games in the Champions League. But I look at every team in that group and think there's points to be got, there's joy to be had against 8 teams. There's no a game where I look and go, with absolutely no chance.
See if we cast our mind back to last year, we had Real Madrid, RB Leipzig, and Shakhtar Donetsk, and we obviously done the live watch along. We couldn't do it yesterday, unfortunately. Obviously, the time of the draw and people working and commitments and stuff. But I think, to be fair, there was a lot of optimism last year, and then opinions changed throughout the group stage, and then finally the conclusion was drawn that we weren't ready. So, what if that happens again this year? I mean, I look at Lazio, I look at Feyenoord, and I'm thinking, like you, 7 points, but then. Does the narrative change if we see us get beat or we see us drawing games? Do we come out of it again with, we'll do better next year again? It obviously all depends on the teams we get. I think this is the feeling I had getting that Real Madrid group. Yeah, they were a superstar team, but I looked at Shakhtar and I looked at RB Leipzig. They're probably of a similar level to Lazio and Feyenoord. Would you not agree?
I would actually say that Shakhtar last season anyway were a level below Lazio and Feyenoord. But yeah. I think this is my take on it, right? This is my take of why we were so optimistic last year. One, we were playing really good football under Ange domestically and we were blowing teams away, right? Secondly, Ange Postecoglou, with the media, the way he spoke about the fans, the way he spoke about the club, the way he spoke about his team, he just filled the connection between manager, players, and fans was unbelievable. And most guys hung on every word Ange said, and he gave us optimism. He made us dream beyond what we thought, what we were actually capable of, in my opinion. That coupled with having Dan Orlowitz on and talking about quarterfinals and last 16s, I think we got a bit far ahead of ourselves and we were brought back down to earth with a bang.
A big bang.
I think we competed in the Real Madrid game. Then we looked at, I think the other thing that filled us with optimism was the fact that we felt we could beat Shakhtar, right? Before a ball was kicked. They then went and pumped Leipzig. I don't remember if it was in Poland or if it was in Germany. But they pumped them in that first game, and I thought, well, we're a better team than Shakhtar, and they've just pumped Leipzig. So Leipzig can't be that great shakes. But then they sacked their manager, they got Marco Rosa in, and by the time we played them, they were a completely different outfit. And they were the outfit that they should have been in the first game against Shakhtar. I think all of these things coupled together made us more optimistic than what we should have been. I think this time around, I'm not as optimistic. I believe that there's points to be won in the games, but I'm not as optimistic as I was last season. Going into that Real Madrid game, I was like, we're going to beat Real Madrid. Fuck knows why.
I remember.
I've watched football all my life. I know, deep down, Real Madrid are most likely going to beat us, but I thought we were going to beat them. And after that first half an hour, I was like, go this, man, just need to get the ball in the net, it'll be fine. But all of those things, I think, made us more optimistic than we ordinarily would have or should have been. And the way we're playing now is not great, and we're in a wee bit of transition, and that's not an excuse for the way we're playing. It is a fact, but they still should have enough to beat St Johnstone and Kilmarnock. But these things can happen. Hopefully they can rectify it on Sunday. But back to the Champions League. I'm not as optimistic. On the face of it, I don't think we've strengthened the first 11 as much as I thought we would have. But I think we would have done that had Ange still been here. But because it's Brendan Rodgers and he's, as I've said, assessing the team and stuff like that, I don't think the plans haven't been in place as well as what they would have been had Ange remained. But I'll say it again, there's points to be had in that group. It's vitally important we pick up some points. Aye.
About time, Anthony.
Listen, it's about as good a group as we could have hoped for. I wanted Feyenoord, I wanted Man United just for that sort of glamour and for the fact that they're not playing that great. I felt that we could have got points off of Man United. But who was the pot 2 team? Was it Atletico?
God. Atletico, yeah.
Atletico. I think, are they as good a team as Man U? Probably.
I'd say they're better.
Probably better, aye. So it's a more difficult one, that. But again, there's still points to be had at Parkhead. I think if we got 1 point at Parkhead, 1 point in the 2 games I've said, I think that's a really good achievement.
Yeah.
We know it's going to be tough. But
of course it'll be tough, but
we'll see what happens. We'll give it our best shot. I think third, even before a ball was drawn out, I wanted us to get third in the Champions League this season and get Europe after Christmas. I think if we get Europe after Christmas, we win the league title. That for me is progress, improvement, and it's a successful season, in my opinion. If we get a Scottish Cup added into that, it's a bonus.
I agree. I think we need to make an inroad in Europe, and Rodgers has already alluded to that fact that he wants to do that.
We all know that.
Maybe his signings or maybe the squad strengthening hasn't been up to scratch. But look, after this window closes, we're left with what we're left, and we'll have to get behind the team like we always do. And it's Glasgow Celtic, and we all love the club. We all want best for the club. And I think most of the people in the comments agree with the fact that maybe third place is the most doable thing. Second is a good bonus if we get that. I mean, if you look at Feyenoord, there's history there, isn't there? That Wim Janssen, people like that, been associated with the club, and Bobby Petta. So, I mean, great clubs in that aspect. You look at Lazio, and I want to talk about what you shared today. The last time we played Lazio, we beat them home and away. If I could look at the team, it was Fraser Foster. I think that's James E. Forrest, Ayer, Julian, Hatim, is it El Hamed?
El Hamed,
El Hamed, Odson Edward, Ryan Christie, Cal McGregor, Scott Brown, Moy El Nusi, and Johnny Hayes, who came on last night for Aberdeen as a late substitute, and their ill-fated attempt to beat Hacken, which was embarrassing. But less said about that, the better. But looking back at that team, right, we played unbelievable that year in Europe in terms of getting top in the group with 2 games of spur under Lenny. You asked the question. I'm going to ask you right now on the podcast, and I'm going to ask everybody. Is the team that we had back then, again, I'll read it out, Fraser Foster, James Forrest, Christopher Ayer, Julian, El Hamed, Edward, Christie, Cal McGregor, Scott Brown, Moy El Nusi, and Johnny Hayes, is that better than the current crop of players that we have now going into Europe?
Well, if you're taking the injuries that we have right now into account, then I would have to say that that team is better. And I say that and caveat it with the fact that in terms of the centre-half position, it's more established. In terms of the midfielders, they've been playing the style that Lennon wants for a longer period of time. So that team wasn't in a transition like this team is. So I would have to say and concede that team is probably better. I think with the sort of, we've not lost that many players. Oh, bye, Stephen. We've not lost that. Aye, you're back. Yeah. Aye, we've not lost that many players. So with the similar personnel, the team last season playing under Ange, I would say as I say, similar players is better than the team we're talking about for that Lazio game. But right now, I would have to say the team for the Lazio game probably edge it just because they're more established in their jobs and what they're trying to do under the manager they're working under. Whereas,
see, if you look back at that, right, and we're talking about Europe, so it kind of ties in. We're saying, I agree with you, by the way. I think that team, for me, as you said, because of established players, established set of tactics is better. Personnel, questionable. But you look back then, and Lenny, he done a cracking job. I'm looking now, like you said, and Feyenoord Lazio, that should give us a boost. Like, we could have got that Newcastle group. That Newcastle group is insane. And to be honest, it's probably what we all expected. So, do you think the pressure kind of ramps up a wee bit on Celtic now with no excuses if it don't progress in like a Europa League, if it don't progress that way, or a second place as a bonus? I mean, Stephen Ray came in talking about the figures. I think the Swiss Ramble put on Twitter today, they do football finances. Lazio, Celtic and Feyenoord, their finances are on an equal keel, so to speak. Maybe not, obviously they spend more than that, but bringing stuff in and player sales and stuff, we're up there with the two clubs. Arne Slot, who rejected Spurs to stay at Feyenoord, by the way. Diego Simeone, who seems to never want to leave Atletico Madrid, obviously for good reason. He does a fantastic job there. But does the pressure ramp up on Rodgers and this Celtic team to do something in Europe this season with that group?
No, for me, no. And to touch on what you said there about obviously the Lazio and the Feyenoord financials being the same as Celtic, that's all well and good. But Feyenoord playing the Eredivisie, Lazio playing Serie A, they can attract a higher calibre player. Celtic,
scary, isn't it?
Celtic could attract their players if they played in their leagues, and I believe Celtic would spend the money on the players that they have, and they would buy the players. But because we play in Scotland, as much as we've got maybe the same amount of money as these teams, we just aren't able to spend it because that level of player isn't willing to come and play their football in Scotland when they've got offers for the English Championship, the English Premier League, Serie A, Bundesliga, Eredivisie. It's just the way it is. We're just where we are in the food chain. For me, I don't think the pressure's ramped up. Before before a ball was drawn out, you're looking at the teams that were, well, you could obviously see most of the pots before even the qualifiers were done. And you're looking at it and going, right, look at all the teams. If Celtic get third place in a group, it's a really good achievement. So for me, regardless of who we drew, third place was always what I was looking for. Of course, it should be minimum. The group we're looking at, right, or we're in, sorry, 2 points we got last year. If we get 2 points this year in that group, I'll be bitterly disappointed. I really will, because there's more than 2 points in that group for us. There was more than 2 points in the group last season. And we played well enough to get more than 2 points, but we came up short. We can't do that this year. We have to be more clinical. We said at the end of that campaign that the guys, most of the players, will have a Champions League experience under their belt now. They'll be better for it. That's the hope. That's theoretically what you think would happen. Whether it is another story. But I don't think you can say Celtic going into a Champions League, the pressure is ramped up. If anything, for me, the pressure should be off because you're not expected to do much. But what I will concede is, if they don't get third and they don't at least, I mean, you look at it 2 points last season, right? You have to win at least one of your home games, minimum, for me. They have to do that. Third place, for me, is realistic. Before a ball was drawn out, it's still realistic now. And I think that is the minimum you should expect. But in terms of the pressure ramped up, no for me, no. Celtic, go out and play your football, do your very best. If you give a good account of yourselves and come up short, I'll be disappointed, but I'll make a judgment on what I've watched on the park over the piece.
Yeah, I think Strange of the Doctor there is kind of on your thinking. Just go out and play the Celtic way and do the fans proud. And obviously, we want that to transpire in the results, especially at Celtic Park. It's become too easy for opponents over the years. And I'll go with you, Ross. Before a ball's kicked, I'll settle for third place, and we'll get stuck into the Champions League when it kicks off in September. And it's obviously Glasgow Derby weekend as well. Now, the narrative change that I heard from Ali McCoist in the commentary when Rangers were getting pumped 5-1 by PSV was incredible. It went from, I think we'll qualify, I think we'll do well, to the Europa League's best for Rangers, the best for all the Scottish clubs. Really quickly, by the way. It was it was mad. Another thing we heard, 100%. It was almost like they got the tap on the shoulder. Change it. But another thing we heard coming up the Derby weekend was from our former Celtic player, Alan Stubbs, who's come out in the William Hill podcast. I think it's the William Hill podcast. It's definitely sponsored by us anyway. And he basically confirmed what we all know. There was a referee, I don't know who it is. He should have named him just in case he's still working. They're all still working, let's be fair. That said to him in a high pro.
I think he said he was dead.
There's referees who are associated with that kind of stuff. Alan Stubbs said there was a referee in a high profile Glasgow Derby game that said to him while he was walking by, "There's no way I'll give you a penalty against Rangers." We get called paranoid. We also get called faranoid from VAR now. And among other things from these people who think we always bash officials and stuff like that. Look, I'm not saying that all officials are like this, but I think personally there's a certain element. Should these comments be investigated? And should that open a wider conversation into what's going on in the refereeing department in Scotland?
Well, of course, their comments should be investigated, but by all accounts, that whatever game it was about, it must be at least 20 years, probably more than that. We've been late 90s, I would imagine. No, well, Nah, maybe early noughties. So we're talking 20 years ago. Now I know Alan Stubbs is still playing at the time, but surely coming out and saying the comments would have been more effective at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's achieving now, especially in the week leading up to a Celtic Rangers game. It just ramps it up even more for the referee. If a decision goes against Celtic, wait, did he? Well, I stand corrected. I apologise. I didn't know that. I'm just going off obviously the recent podcast. That's fair enough if he's told that. I'll retract what I've just said. But again, at the same, I'll go back to the point I was just making on. It doesn't. It's no great doing it on a Derby week lead up to it. I think that if a decision goes against Celtic or they don't get a penalty they should have had, then it's going to be ramped up on the current referee that
Don Robertson, isn't it?
Aye, he's going to get accused of doing whatever the referee done 20 years ago is accused of or did. If comments in the future come out like that and it's more current way or it's closer to the time it was supposed to have happened, then of course that should absolutely be investigated. Will it be investigated enough where people are brought to sort of justice? Probably no, not. It'll be
if it ever comes out, Ross. If it ever comes out, swept under the carpet. If it ever comes out, right, we all know, to be fair, there's some element that goes on. Was there a case recently with Neil Lennon and a referee and something happened in the Celtic match? I can't remember what it was, but
it was investigated.
Did the referee get sacked or something, or suspended?
Aye. I can't mind the exact. It was like a penalty incident or something. I can't mind exactly, but
when it happened. But
it happened, and he didn't give the decision. He should have gave it.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was something along them lines. Strange of the doctor, absolutely. I firmly believe Scottish football is rotten from the head down and is still as corrupt as ever been. Look at the SFA's appointment for this Sunday. And Don Robertson apparently is an open Rangers fan. I don't know this. I'm just saying from what I've seen in the comments, a few people have said that. But you look at this, right? I listened to a bit of that. I don't know if you've seen it, the Mike Dean podcast with Simon Jordan, the one he does. And he was talking about, he done VAR one day, and to take the heat off his friend, he didn't say what the correct decision was. And he basically got suspended and then ultimately let go from his job. That's never happened in Scotland. There's never that accountability. I know Howard Webb, he's the head of the referees down there, and by all accounts, he's doing a good job shaking all that up. But we've still got Hugh Dallas in charge of. We've got their man Crawford Allen, who bounces out every time Celtic get a penalty kick, and he's saying it's not a penalty kick. And then you've got, maybe a lot like a case from years ago, Ross. But the way I look at this is anything that happens years ago can still happen today if it's not investigated. So that, to me, hasn't been stamped out. And I look at referees now, but look at even VAR decisions. The Jada one at Motherwell, the camera not working, looking at the dugout, all different incidents like that. Rangers still haven't had a home penalty kick awarded against them in the Scottish League in years. So is that a coincidence? Or what is actually going on? But I'm not saying it's blatant cheating. But there's something. There has to be something.
Stephen, I'm not saying it's blatant cheating either. But for VAR to have been brought in and them still not almost a year later.
That's the one.
Aye, that's it, Anthony. Almost a year later, they have still, with video evidence, still to concede a penalty. I just find it absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. It's I really don't know what to make it, but people can tell me I'm paranoid and all the rest of it. I know what I see. If Rangers are not conceding a penalty in a year, more than a year, but in a year with VAR,
Connor goes and hands the ball every week.
Every club in world football since VAR has come in, has conceded a penalty, but Rangers haven't. I am not paranoid. Call me paranoid if you want, but do you know what? Fuck you.
Ah, yes. Yes, mate. Yes. And that leads on to the game perfectly. Obviously, they've got a doing of PSV. I think PSV fairly put them away. It could have been probably 8-9. Jack Butland, I think, saved them. We're coming into this game in different form. I think he's 30. Jack Butland's 30. They're coming into this game in different form. I've seen people say it could be the worst Glasgow Derby game in years, but then again, it could be the best one in years. And for me, every Derby game matters. I think the first one, especially for that psychological element, we could go 4 points ahead into the international break. It could have been 6 points, but obviously we drop points against the Johnson. Anthony said on Monday the worst case scenario we go 2 points behind, but I don't want to think about that. And then a lot of people, Ross, were saying they would bite their hand off for a draw, go into the international break, and keep it the same. We're ahead in the table. Where are you at going into this game? And also, you factor in our lineup could be disjointed with new signings coming in. Bernardo, Palma, Nat Phillips, who looks to be a shoe in the start. Could be go amazing, could go bad. Where do you think it's going?
This is the first time in a long time I've went into a game at Ibrox or a game at Parkhead where, well, it's not that I'm not confident, but it's you've watched enough football down, and people say form goes out the window, but in recent years, most of the games the way Celtic are playing, we're going to beat them today. We've got enough. Yeah. We're far better than them. There's not a lot between the teams, and that's more for me because Celtic aren't playing to their level, where Rangers aren't playing to their level either. But Celtic are a lot further off their level than what Rangers are to their own level, I think. It's that coupled with the fact we've no fans. With no fans in the last game at Ibrox, and the fact that we changed the team quite a bit and the league was won, coupled with that, it didn't go well for us on the day. But then you look back at it and you go, right, could have scored. Takes that chance, it could be different. If you'd asked me a week ago what I thought was going to happen, I'd have said, bite your hand off for a draw.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought, and listen, one man doesn't make a team or a result, and I don't want to single the guy out, but if we'd went into that game with Liam Scales as the other centre half, honestly, it doesn't bear thinking about. It really doesn't. No slant the guy. He'll have a decent career at an Aberdeen or something like that, but he's not what we need for a game like this. The very fact that we've got the boy in for Liverpool, Nat Phillips, fills me with more confidence. We've got more options in the top end of the park where we can hurt them. We've got an option who's a tricky, as we've alluded to, he's a tricky winger. He can take players out of position, take them into positions they don't want to be in, which drags other players, creates space. I'm more confident now than I was 5 days ago, even. I'm looking forward to the game. I'm quite upbeat now. I know we haven't been firing on all cylinders, but this is the type of game that gets the juices of Brendan Rodgers flowing.
The people going.
It's but it gets his juices flowing. I think when it's a big game like this, Brendan Rodgers is a big game guy. I think he'll come up with answers on Sunday, and I'm confident that we can at least. I wouldn't bite your hand off now for a draw, but I think we can leave Ibrox with a draw. But I fully believe that we are capable of winning the game now.
I think as well, and even James Hislop in the comments said he's more positive than he was at the beginning of the week. I think we can all kind of fall in that. Maybe it's because of the signings, maybe it's because of what we've seen of them against PSV. What I've noticed as well, Ross, is the fact for me, Michael Beale has been hailed as tactical messiah, as second coming, whatever. Do you know what I mean? I think Gary McAllister did an interview in the Record today, former Rangers coach, by the way, and saying Rodgers slightly edges it in experience over Bale, slightly. Come on, come off it! Like it's incredible. It's incredible the things that people print nowadays. But I didn't buy the physical paper, read it online, and that was reading a full day record. You know what I mean? But you look at the dashboard. you look at them against PSV, and even the other games. Look, I'm not going to lie. Rots Rangers when Celtic aren't playing, and it's just to see how they're playing. I wanted to get beat, obviously. And what I've noticed is they play the exact same way they did 3 or 4 years ago. It's to the wings, to Tavernier or Barisic to swing it in and cause chaos in the box. And then if that doesn't work, you maybe get a bit of something from Cantwell to break the lines. So, yeah, I get what you mean. I'm more confident getting into the game than I was. Probably because last week it was reaction time to what was seen against St Johnstone. You have the week to sit on it. You get Nat Phillips in, eases your fears of Liam Scales playing. You get Palma in. Maybe you get Yang playing. I don't know. We'll come on to our lineup prediction. All I want Rodgers to do and all I'm really wanting him to do is play someone beside McGregor. And I think we'll see a different game. I really do. I think we'll get the control in the midfield. And I know they have your man, Cifuentes. He didn't look great against PSV. I thought they ran him out of the game. Raskin, he's all right. Like, to be fair, Suter. I think Suter, you can get it. John Suter. He played for Hearts. He was average. Goldson scored a cracking goal for PSV. Do you know what I mean? So their team isn't hitting all cylinders. And like you said, I firmly believe that the draw will be a great result, but I'm going there thinking we can win. And I think Rodgers today said the wins are going to come and we will know how to win soon. So, I mean, that's words of encouragement. And obviously this system he's trying to implement. And as you said, he's been assessing the squad really deep into the transfer window and stuff like that. But I'm confident going into it, although I still want the old allocation back, but that's a discussion for another day. But give me your score and lineup prediction.
Right, so I'll go with what I would.
A joke, Corvo.
I'll go with what I would play. I'm not saying this is what Rodgers will go with, but this is what I would go with. Hart and goals, Johnston, Phillips, Lagerbielke, and Taylor. And then I would go with a 2 of Awata and McGregor. And then a 3, Maeda on the left, Yang on the right, and O'Reilly. But obviously, I would have Maeda and Yang a wee bit further up in O'Reilly. Mm-hmm. And then Kyogo. That would be my team.
Score prediction?
2-1 Celtic.
I like it. You just get out there with the win. That's all we need. I would go with Joe Hart, Alistair Johnson, Lagerbielke, Nat Phillips, Taylor. You've convinced me in Awata. Awata has to start for me. Awata, McGregor's the 2 sitters. It could be O'Reilly. It could be Bernardo playing in the 10. Apparently, according to his interview, what I've seen in the comments, he said he plays as a 10. Who knows? That might be a surprise. I do believe he'll start Yang on the right-hand side, and Maeda on the left, and Kyogo up top. And I'm going to match it. I'm going to go 2-1.
Because I am more confident.
Yeah, I am more confident. We agreed for the first time. No, we joke. Me and you've been agreeing quite a lot. But it's strange. I'm not liking it. But I'm confident. We've had time to assess the week and things like that. And obviously, just to recap again for everyone who's watching along, Celtic have signed Nat Phillips. Bernardo's been confirmed tonight. Lewis Palmer's been the 5-year deal. While we've been on there, the only thing that's happened is Bernardo coming in. If anything changes, there's 2.5 hours left to do so. Maybe here's hoping someone might come in. But I do want to again point to the fact that Ross, your wife's taking part in that hike tomorrow, walking a marathon, I believe. And the link in the description below for Macmillan Cancer is a Just Giving page. We're not expecting us to donate anything. Just if you want to, it'd be fantastic for the cause, Ross. And Super 6, when does that have to be done for?
So your predictions have to be in by 3 o'clock tomorrow, obviously, for the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Mine's is done. Franny reminded me the night. All good.
He does his homework all week and he puts on. He tries to get as close as possible. That guy's a maniac at that game. But what I will say, here's the hectic 2.5 hours of the transfer window, and then hopefully we're back on Monday, Ross, celebrating the win or even a draw. I think we'll take a draw as well. Have you enjoyed this podcast?
Thoroughly enjoyed it. listen, we've not done a two for a while. You never named us a two-piece, which I was very disappointed by. Everybody else
Well,
gets a
let's go
two-piece.
with a two-piece. What we're going with?
Well, we always get Penn and Taylor anyway.
Penn and Teller will be 100%. The magicians. And
Aye.
on the magician front, we're going to disappear off your screen now. Stay well. Hail, hail. Stay well. Keep safe.
Superb finish. Love it.